Welcome to our last video for Ask the Critics. I'm Rob.
Brendan.
And yeah, unfortunately Dave could not be here today, so it's going to be just the two of us this time. And as you guys know, as you remember from the promo, we said that we would continue to do these videos until the end of May. Well, now it's the end of May, so it's time to put the segment on hold. But anyway, what we're going to go ahead and do the last few questions that we have sent in by you. Okay, Brendan, this question, we got some questions from Milla Lincoln. What movie would you say you hated yet was somewhat popular?
It's like just walk into any video store, there's just shelves of movies that are popular that I just despise. More recent ones are probably the last two Pirates of the Caribbean movies, the Star Wars, the recent Star Wars trilogy.
The prequels.
The prequels, yeah. You know, those movies that were huge with everybody and just went right over my head. I just didn't really care for it. Another big movie that, I said I really liked on this channel before and I reviewed it before, but I've seen it since again and I just I don't know what I saw in the movie, but A King's Speech. It won Best Oscar. It just tells one of those, it's just like the movie studios have to tell a certain story and it always has to be uplifting at the end. Everything needs a neat bow on it. And those are the movies that win Best Picture. Either the movies that don't give you any answers or the ones that, without a doubt, comfort the audience and, you're just happy and you're just happy on that. Another movie I also really didn't like that was popular that I'm probably going to get negative comments for is Schindler's List. Did not like that movie at all. The outcome of the movie is an uplifting one for really, it was commenting on an event that was in no way uplifting. The Holocaust is not, you can't draw anything positive from that. I just feel like any director who makes a movie relating to the Holocaust is going to get either praised or the exact opposite. And I just feel like it's an area that they should just leave alone.
So you kind of like movies where they have a dark ending and like Chinatown or The Watchmen where, things don't always end up in a neat little bow.
Well, I don't want to generalize like that. I just think it's a lot of the big popular ones out there that get a lot of attention. And then people complain about the lack of originality. It's just like, why do you pay money to go see these movies? I mean, it's like there's 5 Fast and the Furious movies now. Did we really need 5 Fast and the Furious movies? It's just
fans would probably say,
yeah, but I've never met anyone who was just a diehard fan, who was just like, go Fast and the Furious.
I disagree with you on King's Speech. I've seen it since and I still like it. Even though Schindler's List is not my favorite Spielberg film, I still think it's a nice, good drama. My answer to that is, even though these aren't movies that I hate, the first time I saw 2001, I didn't like it. I thought it was a good-looking movie, but the first time I watched it, it didn't make any sense to me. I think with repeated viewings, I've gotten better with it. But one that I've tried to get into, comedians. I like old movies like the Marx Brothers and the Stooges, Abbott Costello, Laurel and Hardy. For some reason, I can't get into W.C. Fields. I mean, I've watched a lot of his features and those famous shorts he did for Max Sennett, and I can respect him because he was a very popular comedian on stage during the vaudeville days, and he's had a rough childhood and all that, and he fought for the right to try and direct his own films. He only did that once, the movie called Man on the Flying Trapeze, but I just can't get into him. He's just not my favorite comedian. Everyone calls him the best comedian of the 30s and 40s, and I would disagree with that. I'd say Groucho Marx or Shem Howard, or maybe to an extent Bobby Clark. But I mean, I gave him a chance. I gave him a fair chance. I liked him in Alice in Wonderland. I liked It's a Gift. I think that's his best film, but he's not my favorite comedian from the past.
Going back to what you said on 2001, that's almost the exact kind of movie I'm talking about. When you watch something in 2001, you have no idea what that movie means by the time you finish it. It's just like, what did I just watch for the last half hour? I mean, it's just like you've been completely visually violated by this movie. That's the kind of movie I'm talking about, where it's a movie that prompts discussion as opposed to, that was good.
Yeah.
That's kind of the end of it,
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, the atypical, well, everyone ended up okay in the end.
Yeah. All right. The next question from Mill Lincoln was, which actors never let you down? For me, when I saw this, I immediately thought of Boris Karloff, Bela Lugosi, Vincent Price, and Lon Chaney Sr., because oftentimes, even whether they're doing great movies or whether they're stuck in garbage movies, they always give it their best. And Lon Chaney Sr., I went with him as well because it's kind of the same way. Even though he's kind of remembered now for horror films from the silent era, he could play anything. And if you watch some of his surviving films from the 1910s, he played cowboys and pirates and all this good stuff. And London After Midnight, even though it's a lost film, I watched the recreation of it using stills, and I saw the remake, Mark of the Vampire, with Bela Lugosi. It's an interesting movie, but the ending's a letdown, and I can imagine him really pulling it off with that movie. So I think Vincent Price said, I'm paraphrasing, of course, when he was asked why he did a lot of crappy movies, he said something like, I'm an actor and my job is to act. So even though these guys did a lot of crummy movies, especially later in their careers, they were very professional, and sometimes they're the only reason you like about a movie. A bad movie.
Yeah, you definitely just mentioned some of the great actors. You mentioned Lon Chaney Sr. Lon Chaney Jr. is just one of my favorite actors, and he sort of did what his father did. He just stuck with every single role he got, even though he got a lot of these crappy B pictures where he was usually playing a background type villain, and he never really got a whole lot to do. But he still just gave his part so much where you were just always, your attention was on him on the screen. Even in Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, he is the most sympathetic characters I love are like Lance Henriksen, who's been in just so many good things, and like from Aliens to Terminator, and then so many other bad movies like Pumpkinhead. Even if you are a fan of those movies, I'm not. It's he's just one of those actors where he's the most intense performer on screen. A few others would be like Bill Paxton, Michael Biehn, just actors who I can watch in completely crappy movies, but just watch it because of their performance.